What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Real Talks with Jakub, where I interview doers, achievers, and go getters and how they created their own luck and became successful. And today we are here with Graham Turner. Graham is a coach who helps people to achieve a healthy relationship with themselves. He can help you with developing the right food and exercise habits so you can achieve the confidence and appearance you really want. So, if you're someone who is stuck in terms of physical or mental health, this episode is for you. So welcome to the show, Graham.
Thanks very much, Jacob. It's really good to be here. I've been very excited about speaking.
Same here. I mean, we are in touch for quite some time on LinkedIn and we're interacting with each other's content, and you're sharing some incredible value. And I just decided that it would be awesome to provide this value to our listeners and viewers on YouTube as well.
Thanks very much for having us here.
So, Graham, you help with pretty much everything related to health, exercise, sex drive, nutrition, mental health, and so on. But most of the coaches are focused on just one category, for example, nutrition. So why do you focus on all of them?
I think there's nowhere in life that any one aspect of your life doesn't have a crossover or a bearing on another. If we look at your brain health can be improved by doing some physical activity. It helps the neurons, it helps the cells production. I'm not a neurologist, but I know that the physical effect of what you do within your body has a positive effect on the mental capability. Now, if you're improving your brain health and reducing the chance of getting degenerative disorders to do with the brain, then you're also going to be impacting on your capabilities in work, how you remember your colleagues' names or that new potential client's names, how you build relationships, and that feeds back into nutrition as well. You know, what we feed our body has a direct correlation on how we feel, how we act, the energy level, and also therefore how we work with other people. There's not one area that doesn't, you can't just treat one aspect and not expect it to have a positive or a negative effect on another aspect of your life.
Yes, I understand. So you know quite a lot of things. Where did you learn all this? Like, when did you start, and when did you start acquiring all this knowledge?
I started pretty late. I mean, I started 20 years ago working for myself. And before that was a period of 10 years building up and learning and starting as a fitness instructor. And a passion as a fitness instructor led into personal training, working with individuals across the board, from sports people to professionals within the industry, as well as just general public, and learning from the clients and the people that I've come across, like yourself, learning and then going away and saying, right, then, well, how can I develop that? How can I bring that in? How can I utilize that? And how can I impact in a positive way of the clients that I'm working with now, as well as the potential clients for the future?
I see. Okay. So who are the clients you are usually working with? If somebody approaches you, what is their like starting situation, starting position, where when they decide to contact you and ask for help?
I think that's the biggest thing. They've decided, rather than being forced into a situation. One of my clients said, after we started working, I decided to invest in myself rather than just my business. So my clients that I deal with, they've put a lot of effort into their life. They've put a lot of effort into building their families, to building a relationship, to building their own business, or putting into a large business and becoming a professional and a very successful professional within their field. But what's fallen away along the lines is their health. They've realized that it's about time they take back some of that energy that they put into other aspects of their life and start actually looking after themselves.
So you're usually working with entrepreneurs and people who build their own businesses, or are you working with executives and employees as well?
Um, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that I'm working with that have built their own business, as you say, but there's also professionals, solicitors,
Uh-huh.
surgeons, doctors,
Yes.
uh, and people who've just got to a point where they're ready to make a difference. They've seen, they might have been affected by someone that they've lost because of a stroke or a heart attack or something that could have been prevented possibly by
Yes.
if they looked after their health in a far manageable way.
Okay, so as far as I understand it, these people are usually already a little bit further in their career, right?
Yeah.
They already built something. So what is usually the trigger, right? That they decided, okay, enough. I built amazing business. I provided value to so many people, and I need to start focusing on myself more. What is usually the trigger that makes them happen, makes them do that decision?
That's a really interesting question because it's going to be different to everyone. When we look at the light switch going on and off,
Mm-hmm.
it it's asking someone, well, how did you know you needed to turn that light switch on at that point in time?
Mm-hmm.
Now it could be something, and I had a conversation with a lovely lady this week who's about to start her new business with an 18-month-old child
Wow.
and is pregnant as well. Now, she's realized that in order to be able to give the energy to her young family
Mm-hmm.
as well as to her business, she needs to be in a far better physical
Mm-hmm.
position,
Mm-hmm.
which is then going to affect on her energy, which is then going to affect on her mood, which is then going to, so it becomes a really uh, a circle of production and energy rather
Yes.
than the other way around. We're not drawing away. We're trying to create. We're trying
Uh-huh.
to. The new cars nowadays, when you're braking, they apply energy back into the system. Yeah. So as you're driving along and you brake, it starts to put energy back into the motor if they're a battery operated. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to show entrepreneurs, show business people, show people in general that the more exercise or the more attention you give your body,
Mm-hmm.
the more it's going to give back to you. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to take away, it's not going to subtract, it's always going to give to you. There's always a positive out of that rather
Yes.
than a negative, which is what people initially think. People think, oh well, I'm not going to have the energy if I go to the gym or if I start something. So it
Mm-hmm.
could be as simple as, I've got a young family. I need to do something about looking after my health, or it could be a transition moving from one position within a large company to another,
Mm-hmm.
and having a sudden thought, well, how am I going to be able to maintain this amount of
Mm-hmm.
energy if
Mm-hmm.
there's young business people below them,
Yes.
who are hungry, who are
Yes.
eager?
Yes.
How am I going to be able to maintain that? How am I going to be able to develop, and how
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how am I going to build that? So, and it could be that as well.
Let's circle back for a moment to that pregnant lady who is deciding to start her own business. I mean, if she has like 18-month old baby and she's expecting next baby,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not usually the position that you are taking the risks to start your own business. It's quite unusual, isn't it?
I think there's a the risk is an interesting word, isn't it? I mean, if we look at the likes of different entrepreneurs on the social media scheme who are talking about, if you're looking to start a business, you're working in a job at the moment, you've still got hours in the day where you can actually start creating.
Yes.
So when we're looking at developing a business, and this lady she knew what she wanted. She was turning her passion into her new career. She was
Okay.
transitioning from a career where she was still getting paid in at the moment,
I see.
and while while dealing with what was happening on a personal level, you know, while looking after the baby, while having a partner, while being pregnant, you know, so still being able to do that. And the conversation was looking about, right, and how do we get away from all of the thoughts that are going around in your head that are telling you it's too much, you're never going to be able to do it. You know, all of the self-doubt that comes up there, all of the feeling of fraud. How do we manage that while also facilitating you moving ahead and finding the right speed for you to do that? Because I think we both come across where you can try and grow business too quickly, you know, and you can try and grow a business where it's very, very slow,
Yes.
you know, and nothing happens. There's no momentum at that point. It's allowing people to have some form of accountability and saying behind the lies and the stories that they've created, because we're creating stories on a daily basis. You know, people will be creating stories as they listen to this podcast. They'll be creating a story about you. They'll be creating a story about me.
What do you mean story? Can you define story?
Yeah, and so we each have our own realities.
Yes.
Yeah. So at the moment, we're both sitting in front of our computer, talking to one another. I'm in my room. You're in your room. That is where the reality stops. Our separate reality at that point is the story and what you're hearing. So I'm hearing whatever you're saying from my personal perspective, and vice versa. So you might hear something in the conversation or something in the words that you resonate with, or you
Yes.
think, oh, that'll be useful, that'll be
Yes.
interesting, and vice versa. But we might not pick up the same. So we're creating stories where we're narrating to whatever's happening in the background all the time. Now we
And
do that
we can
about our
basically influence, right, these stories, because
absolutely.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, Tony Robbins says change your story, change your life, right? So if
Yeah.
you're someone who has a weight problems, right, you're fat, and you're still saying to yourself the same story that you're big boned, right?
Yes.
It's that story which actually is keeping you fat, right? But you can change this story. You can change the story you're saying to yourself. You cannot change the stories people are saying to you, but you can change the story you are saying to yourself.
Exactly. So if I'm working with someone who is looking to lose weight,
Yes.
yeah, or looking to get fit, but we'll use the weight one. We look at two major things to start off with. The first one is why, you know, and it's taken from Simon Sinek's, you know, find your own
Yes.
why, you know. So we'd really delve into why do you want to do it? You know, and it's not just because I want to look good on the beach in the summer. And so there's always a deeper reason behind that, and it's really finding that. But the second part of it, which is what you've just said about the Joe Rogan, you know, it's creating an avatar of yourself rather than an avatar of your business or potential business clients. So who do you want to be? Who does Graham want to be? You know, who is Graham? Never mind who does he want to be. And it's bypassing the labels, but it's creating a visual and a hard representation of who you could possibly be. So
Okay.
so 20 months ago, I was 108 kilograms. I'm now 91 kilograms because I started looking at myself in exactly
Wow.
this way. So it was, right, then who does Grim want to be? Well, Grim wants to reduce his visceral fat. What does he want to reduce it to? So that's the amount of fat around his organs. Yeah. How can I measure that? How am I going to do that? Look into each aspect of who you want to be and find a solution rather than the problem from that point. So at the end of the day, Graham wanted to weigh 91 kilograms. Graham wanted to have a body fat of 12%. Graham wanted to have a visceral level of 4%. Graham wanted, and break it down, Graham wanted to wear a beige jumper with a white t-shirt and black Oakleys. Really create, I mean, on my screensaver, I've got a load of vision board. I've got a big vision board of who I wanted to be.
Yes.
And every now and then, every quarter or so, I relook at that. Right? And who was the avatar that Grim wants to be? And why does he want to be that? And it's building up that story and to move forward rather than looking at the reasons and the excuses. I'm big boned.
Mm-hmm.
that hold you back from really progressing.
Okay, so what was that story or reason that what held you back when you wanted to change your appearance?
I was big boned. No,
Yes.
I'm joking. It was, I didn't see myself as being, I don't think I was overweight. I mean, clients would have said that I was stocky, I think the word is, so I was, but I'd, I'd got out of a swimming pool while I was working with a client over in Gozo, just off Malta. And I looked at myself and I thought, no, there was that light bulb moment. There was
Yes.
that light switch. It was just, no, I'm not, I'm 50. I'm not in the best possible shape physically that I
Mm-hmm.
could be in order to move myself forward over the next 20, 30, 40, 50
Mm-hmm.
years. So, and it was an honest question looking for a honest and real honest answer
Mm-hmm.
rather than a surface answer.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I like what I seen? What was it about my appearance? What was it about? And it wasn't just the appearance that was the answer. It was about how I felt about the appearance
Yes.
and where I was hiding as opposed to looking forward and
Okay.
being.
So so you had that light bulb moment once while you were in a swimming pool.
Yeah,
What was that like next step you took?
I did a lot of research.
Okay.
I asked myself a lot of, I'd looked at well, why do you want to do it? What's the reason behind that? I looked at, right, and what would you like to be on your perfect vision of what you want to look like?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to feel like, and what do you want to get out of it? How would you go about that? How many hours in the week would that take? What type of food would you eat? And this is about the avatar. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if I was to be the healthiest person that Graham could be, well, what food would Graham eat?
Okay.
Where how many hours a week would he train? What would he walk his dog more? Would he have a TV? And there was loads. So one of the steps was I removed my TV. I don't have a television at home.
Yes.
I've got my laptop and I watch Netflix and I watch documentaries and I watch TED Talks and stuff like that. But one of the major things for me is, right, that when Graham's got some spare time, when he's sitting down to eat, Graham's going to educate. A Graham of the future, a Graham that is healthy, a Graham that is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
looking forward, would always be looking at educating himself,
Mm-hmm.
not just regurgitating old things. He would be looking for new ideas,
Mm-hmm.
especially if those new ideas
Mm-hmm.
conflicted with the ideas that he already had.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I looked at different types of eating plans. I mean, for 15 months, I went not quite ketogenic, so I went low carb. So
Mm-hmm.
I was around about 20 grams of carbs a day.
Okay.
Now I still low carb, but it fluctuates.
Yes.
So some days it could be 20 grams, some days it could be more. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at now is it's the overall calorie intake, as long as I'm eating the right amount of protein that I can manage
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
maintain. And it has to be a balance. So I looked
Mm-hmm.
at what nutrition. And I
Gotcha.
looked at various different ones that would suit me.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So those were the steps that looking at in order to be that person.
Yes.
What does that person need to do to get there?
So yeah, I'm starting to recognize a pattern when I'm talking to different guests here, and usually the first step is like get real with yourself, which
Mm.
is okay, I'm fat and it doesn't look good. You need to accept that fact that you're not in the best shape.
Mhm.
Then this is quite interesting that you created like avatar, right? This is where I want to be, and then there's this gap you needed to fill, right? You needed to fill with information, uh, with the tasks and things and activities you will need to implement in your life in order to achieve that the desired situation, right? So you did your research. You found out that how many hours per week you need to exercise, what you need to eat, and then then there's like, I would say, one of the biggest problems for most of the people. Once you know the process, how do you actually start implementing it and be disciplined about it?
You just fucking do it. I mean, you just do it.
No, it's
Uh,
fine.
you,
We're real. You can say
there-
fuck
there's,
here.
yeah, there's no getting away from it. You know, the stories that kept me in there in the past were the fact that I didn't do what I knew I should be doing.
Hmm.
Taking that ownership of your own actions and stop blaming other people. I just wrote a post this morning about how people are blaming this new viral epidemic, and
Yes.
blaming everyone else rather than taking responsibility and ownership for their selves.
Hmm.
And it was just literally that. It was right then. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. I didn't like it. I didn't like getting up, and I didn't like training. I used to love training. I trained quite professionally as a high standard in martial arts when I was 18,
Yes.
and I used to love it. But I almost sickened myself at that point. So it was just getting back to it, and I
Hmm.
fell in love with the boredom. I fell in love with the tasks. I fell in love with doing something.
Discomfort.
Sorry.
Discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. But the discomfort became almost a blanket of comfort
Hmm.
and a blanket of ownership, as in, right then,
Hmm.
this discomfort is actually showing me. And it's not so much discomfort now, but it's showing us that it's possible. It took a long time. I, I lost a lot of weight quite rapidly. It's quite easy to do. And most people fall away from that when they achieve a massive weight loss. They don't carry on moving. Oh, I've done that. That's enough.
Yes.
You But it was moving forward from that point, and that was the most difficult. I think about 4 months into it, 5 months into it, it was
Hmm.
looking right, and I'm going to do this. So I gave myself a task, and the task was I watched the video, and I can't remember who it was, and it was all about growing your chest through
Yes.
just press ups, right? And this one chap said, right, then do minimum of 20 press ups a day, every day for 3 months.
Hmm.
And I tried that before, where I tried 300 press ups a day for a month.
Hmm.
Is a bit of a challenge, and that was in 2014. So I
Press
thought,
up. Is it like a push up? Like,
yeah, a
yeah.
push
Okay.
up, yes. So,
Okay.
so I thought, right, no problem. I'm going to do 100 press ups, push ups a day, right?
Hmm.
So for 3 months, but I'm going, and there was no discomfort whatsoever. Whereas in the past, there's been joint pains. So my diet had reduced the inflammation from the joints.
Yes.
I was able to move forward. So I did that for a period of time, and I thought, right, and well, it's working, but it's not giving us what I want, and it's reassessing the goals at that point. So I was almost drifting off the path that I
Hmm.
wanted.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it was then asking myself again, well, what can I change? How? And I'm lucky in the respect that I know a lot about training, but again, it was about relearning about myself and myself as a 51-year-old in order to move forward again. So it's
Hmm.
constant reassessment, constant learning, and the passion behind that drove where I was going
Yes.
within myself
Yes.
and the business.
You said that you just fucking do it, right? And
Yeah,
I think that it sounds easier than it's done, right? Because you can decide that you will do it, but the days will come that you will feel like not doing it. And I think that people who are not maybe that resilient as you are, because you have some like martial arts background and so on, they might easily like give up at this point. And that's the reason why they are still staying in the same shape and the same financial situation as their whole life, right? So what would you do at that point?
it's
just
do
just
what you
force
can.
through.
Yeah, absolutely. So my alarm was set at 4:45 in the morning. I'd get up at 4:45. I have a ritual or a routine that I follow. So I
Yes.
get up, I sort the dog out, the kettle goes on, I make my cup of green tea, I come back up the stairs, and I mobilize a minimum of 5 minutes. And this
Hmm.
is what I tell all my clients. You focus on what you can do, not what you can't do.
Hmm.
If it's 1 minute, most people will do more than 1 minute.
Yes.
If you plan it, if you structure it, if you put it on a whiteboard, if you put it in your phone, so everything comes up every whatever, You know, if we have that down, if we plan, if we've made a system, and I do a 12-week program where we break everything down, and then at the end of the 12-week, they get a support structure. But that was what I used for myself. I looked at, right, and on some days where I really didn't feel like I could be bothered to do the whole workout, could I do that was the easiest, that was going to give us the most value?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, stretching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as I get older, I definitely feel as if I don't bounce as well as when I was 18, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so any form of more, and then you get those chemicals releasing, and you feel good, and you think, you know what,
Yes.
that feels good. I'll do a few pull-ups, or I'll do a few press-ups, or I'll do a few squats, or
Yes.
I'm down here, I'll do some hip lifts.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask yourself what's the minimum you could do
Mm-hmm.
to keep you online, what's the minimum?
Mm-hmm.
1% rule.
Mm-hmm.
And if we keep on moving forward, if we look at the British cycling team before 2000 or so, they looked at their coach at that point in time, looked at what's the smallest difference we can make in order to keep on moving forward
Mm-hmm.
and to
Mm-hmm.
keep on progressing. And I think that for me is the biggest thing that I would try to say to people. Just
Mm-hmm.
do a little bit. Do what you can
Mm-hmm.
rather than what you can't. Because people scare themselves.
Yes. And I would like to expand on that a little bit, because I think the excuse usually comes in a moment when the environment isn't the best, when the conditions aren't the best. So what you can actually do is that you can control that environment. You can make the conditions. You can improve the conditions, so the habits and the new habits will be easier to implement in your life. So for example, if you want to go work out in the morning, you can pack your bag in the night day before, right? So it's just way easier to just grab it and go, because you don't need to do that cognitive thinking, what to pack and so on, and you just grab it and go. And these little things really helps. These things really help when it comes to doing your habits. And also habit stacking. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this term. It's basically stacking together different habits. So if you want to start listening to podcasts each morning or audiobooks, it's good to do it, I don't know, for example, when you are brushing your teeth. So you will use the already existing habit, and you will put on top of that existing habit a new habit, and you can start implementing new habits like this. Or I don't know, listening to podcasts while on the treadmill or something like that, right?
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with that. I had a client, got a client down London, and what he does is, in order to get to the gym, he's organised a taxi for first thing in the morning. So the taxi rings his doorbell when he's ready. So he
Yes.
can't not. So all he's got it 5 days a week. He's got this taxi that turns
Mm-hmm.
up at his door.
Mm-hmm.
At I can't remember. I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It could be earlier. So he's prepped that. He has to have his bag ready because this man's going to knock on his, or this taxi driver's going to knock on the
Yes.
door, and he has to. But it's creating that. And on the way into the gym, he's doing some emails. You know, he's stacking, he's putting together
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with stuff that he's already doing. So he's productive, and he never thought that that was going to be the case. I mean, you've talked about making the task easy, but we're also looking at making the task as enjoyable as
Yes.
possible, and making the old habit, the non-productive habit, difficult and not enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking at both sides of those, because it's very easy just to, the alarm goes off and then just to pull the duvet up and think, no, but you got to, right, well, if I don't do that, what's going to happen? How can I put a habit into place to get me out of bed? Put the
And I mean,
alarm clock at the other end of the room.
yes. And I mean, that taxi thing, it holds you accountable, because
Yeah.
there are two things which hold you accountable. First, you most probably paid for this taxi, so there's the money
Yeah.
aspect. And second, there's a human being waiting for you. So that
Yeah.
would work for me more, maybe even more
Yeah.
than the money, because this
Yeah.
person is there, he's investing his time to be there. And if I'm not there, I'm actually doing myself a disservice, and to him as well.
Yeah. Yeah. absolutely.
So
Being
accountability.
accountable is yeah.
So accountability, is that like one of the big parts of your when you were coaching people? Are you there for them to hold them accountable along the process?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
How do
think
you do it?
the easiest thing is to ask them the difficult questions that they're avoiding.
Such as?
Well, seeing through the bullshit.
Yes.
I've got a client away this weekend who we normally train at the weekend. We train once a week. I live up in the northeast of England. He comes up from his home in London, and we train once a week. And it's mainly it's physical and mental. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
to recalibrate. It's to relook at everything that's happened and rebalance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not just the physical aspect. So the accountability thing was, right, I can't see you this weekend because I'm away. Fine. I expect to see videos of you exercising.
Okay.
You know, so it throws them back. It throws it back into the client's
Mm-hmm.
court. It's not
Mm-hmm.
for me. I don't need them to do it.
Yes.
You know, it's not going to help me in any way, shape, or form. But what it is going to do, if I say, right, well, you're saying you've got no time, really? You've got 24 hours in a day. Get up earlier. Get up 15 minutes earlier.
Mm-hmm. Cutting
It's
through the
throwing it
bullshit. I
back
mean,
at
yeah.
them.
It makes sense.
And most people aren't used to having that.
Yeah.
Most people aren't about ownership, aren't about taking accountability
Mm-hmm.
onto themselves.
It's just
Uh,
one day. I can sleep 15 minutes longer. Nothing will gonna happen. Nothing's
yeah,
gonna happen, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've just recently had an operation, lower abdominals, and they said, right then, it took us, it slowed us down for 2 months beforehand. So
Mm-hmm.
the amount of work that I could do. It doesn't slow us down what I'm eating. There's no excuse to carry on eating what I was eating. You know,
Yes.
even if we're looking at gym doesn't burn calories. Okay, we're not. The training actually gets us fit and strong. Don't think about the calories being used up in the gym. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to maintain as much as possible or to decrease the amount of impact, I had to change what I was eating. I had
Yes.
to adapt some areas of my life in order to compromise on others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've had the operation and it's 4 to 6 weeks to say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a little bit. I'm doing as much as I can. I'm listening to my body, but I'm not going, oh, I'm doing nothing for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
Can you imagine if that happened at your job? That would never happen, would it?
Uh-huh.
But because it's our own body, we seem to justify it
Mm-hmm.
through a whole heap of bullshit.
It reminds me quite interesting thing I see when people try to implement new habits. So let's say that they have like 5 new habits per day they want to implement, or they're implementing, and if they fail to do one habit, I don't know, cold shower in the morning, they usually use it as an excuse to not do the rest of
No.
the 4, right? So I didn't go to shower, so I don't know. I just won't do the workout today. It doesn't make any sense, right, anymore, because it won't be that streak. But what really helped me is visualization, like visualizing all these habits and doing check marks if I did it. And really, if there's one check mark missing out of, I don't know, 10 during the day, it's really not that super big deal. But if the 5 would be missing, well, that hurts.
Yeah, yeah. So I use a habit tracker
Yes.
on my phone, and I'm exactly the same. But initially, that was really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember listening and reading a book called Make Your Bed, and it's a YouTube speech by
Mm-hmm.
a naval officer, and he
Yes,
talks
yes,
of
I saw it. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very powerful. So I thought, right then, how can I really, as part of the step process for myself and clients, how can I? And making your bed is really powerful,
Yes.
but making it well You know, because sometimes we can say, right, well, I'm not going to have time to have that shower. I'm not going to have time, and we justify
Hmm.
the things. You know, or I'll have a shower later, or I'm in a hurry, or whatever. There's a mess on the floor. Loads of justifications, but realistically, you're in your bed. It takes less than 2 minutes to get up and make it.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, as he says, if nothing else has gone well in your day, you return home to a freshly made bed.
Hmm.
And that's something nice. It's something rewarding.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you know that at that point, not only have you started your day with 100% by
Yes.
making your bed, but you've created a reward at the end of the day that because of that one action.
Hmm. Exactly. I cannot even imagine right now that I would leave my home without my bed done properly.
It would be an interesting question. How many people actually? I'm going to use that on one of my groups tomorrow.
Yeah.
How many people have made their bed this morning?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It would be an interesting one. I think we probably think, oh well, no, I always make my bed. But how many people actually make it? There's a difference, nowadays with the duvet. There's a difference between throwing the duvet across,
Yes.
but actually making it.
Make it
Making it.
beautiful, like the sheets and
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
stretched out. Yeah.
Like when you go to a hotel room and it's all crisp.
Yes.
I've even started turning down the corner of my duvet, so it's it's a bit weird at that point. But
I mean, those are the little things, but there's a saying that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, right?
yes, but it has a massive knock-on effect,
Hmm.
and I don't think I'd realised when I started out 20 years ago on my own
Hmm.
that how these small making your bed has a massive effect psychologically
Yes.
as well as physically.
And these are like really little things. I'm maybe weird, but when I go to the toilet and I see piss on the toilet seat, I even wipe it out, even if it's not mine, because it's my reputation. If somebody would come there after me, they will see that they will think that I did it, and I don't want that.
No,
So I
it,
don't leave anything there. So it's in the best condition during the.
it is. It's about taking ownership not only
Yes.
of yourself but the situation around you. You know, we'll give an example here. We'll say you're driving down the street and someone hits the back of your car.
Yes.
Now, it's not your fault, right? But at that point, even though the other person might have taken responsibility
Hmm.
for hitting you,
Hmm.
it then ends up being your responsibility to deal with the rest of the day
Yes.
and the rest of the week. Your responsibility to say to the police if you need to, the insurance, the car garage to get a new car, if you need to. All of those, your responsibility about your own mood
Hmm.
in
Yes.
how you speak to your partner or your children at the end of the day. If you snap at them, that's not his fault or the person that hit
Hmm.
the car.
It's your
That's
decision.
your fault for not dealing with it and taking responsibility or ownership for it.
Yeah, that situation happened. It wasn't either negative or positive. You are choosing how you will react to that. The situation just exists. It's in
Yeah,
a void. It exists, and you are choosing whether you will be pissed about that or you will be
yeah.
grateful about it. That you will meet some new people in auto repair store. I don't know.
So I think when working with clients, it's about drawing their attention back to the illusion that they're creating, but also what is possibility. I've got a tattoo on my arm there, and it's by a Stoic philosopher,
Hmm.
and it is, "Would you have a great empire? Rule over thyself." And I think when you can start to see the lies, the stories that we tell ourselves,
Hmm.
and justify our existence or what we're doing or what we're not doing,
Yes.
how can we then move forward and create and be that entrepreneur, to be that businessman, to be that father,
Hmm.
to be
Hmm.
whatever you want to be, if you're not going to take responsibility for your own self, for your own health,
Hmm.
for your own wellness?
Hmm.
How's that going to manifest as you go forward into life?
Amazing. Graham, I always like to end these interviews, these episodes with something really actionable. So let's say that I'm somebody who wants to change something in their physical appearance. I don't know. I want to be more muscular, or I want to lose weight, but something is holding me back. What would be like the thing you would recommend me doing? And make it please so actionable that I can do it either today or next week, but I can do it literally by myself.
Ask yourself why,
Mm-hmm.
and really start to, at the top of the piece of paper, write down what you want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath that, start to write down your whys
Mm-hmm.
and keep on going
Mm-hmm.
and keep on going till you feel it, not
Mm-hmm.
intellectually, but when you feel it in the heart, in the
Yes.
gut, wherever it is, where it feels true to you. And there's nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as if that one word is repeating itself, or
Mm-hmm.
that one feeling is repeating itself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you have a why, you will find the how.
Mm-hmm. So not just a single goal or what, but attach some emotional
Yeah,
why to it, right?
yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. Amazing advice, Graham. Thanks a lot. Um, is there anything else you would like to give to our audience who are listening or watching on YouTube?
I, I'm hoping that they've got a bit of an example of how I work and how I and what I do.
Yes.
I think if I was going to say one thing to the people out there is don't put it off. We spend too long preparing to build a business. We
Mm-hmm.
spend too long preparing to start a family, to start changing our own health, our own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stop making excuses and putting it off. Start. In
Take
whatever way
imperfect
it looks.
action.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
I think that's where it is.
Okay, Graham. So if people like what you're saying, if they like you as a person, your knowledge, where they can find a little bit more about you, where they can get in touch with you.
Uh, I'm on LinkedIn, Grim Turner, or Grim the Professor Turner on LinkedIn. And I've got a free group on Facebook, which is the Health and Confidence Academy. And that's a free group. And we talk about what's health related. You know, we throw things. I would imagine we'll have some form of link on the end of this, and we can hook together my contact information.
Mm-hmm.
But the free group is as easy as possible, and also the link onto LinkedIn.
Absolutely. All right. Graham, thanks a lot for coming. It was amazing.
Thank you very much for having us here.
And guys, if we brought you some value in terms of habit creation, losing weight, nutrition, mental health, please share this with your friends on Facebook or on Instagram. You can either share the link if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can just share the link from one of the podcasts app you are using, or just take a screenshot, send it to a friend, and say, hey, listen to this. It was amazing. It would mean a world to us. So thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for watching. Graham, thanks a lot for coming, and till next
Thank
time.
you very much.